Okay.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Black Girl Can't Cook, an all new episode. Today, I am joined by my oldest, bestest childhood friend, Hope Roberts. Clap for the
Yay. So
Hi,
excited to be
Hope.
here. Hi, Bree. Thanks for
I
having
am,
me.
you're so welcome. I'm so excited to just talk with you. But before I start every interview, this will be a good story. How did we meet?
Oh my goodness, girl. I think it was first grade. I think we were in Miss Schinnebarger's class together.
Oh, Hope, I am screaming. You remember Miss Burger? You remember her name? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
of
yes, yes.
course. Dude,
Circa Ahwatukee,
yes,
Phoenix,
yes.
Arizona.
Yes, I think it was like 2001-ish. So yes. And we had girl, I'll just like never forget our like little girl gang in elementary school. It was so fun.
It was the
It,
funnest thing. It was about four of us. We would do Foursquare. We would play on the playgrounds. It was really a sisterhood. It was a diverse sisterhood. It was on some Cheetah Girls level shit.
yeah,
Like,
it really was. Like I look back on it now and I'm like, wow, we were just like ahead of our time, honestly.
ahead. And two, I feel like Arizona, I don't know, the first school, yeah, Lomas, Kyrene de las Lomas, shout out. It was such like a great starting place because it was so diverse. I mean, there were just white kids, Spanish kids, Asian. That was the probably only school where I did not feel like a token black girl. Like literally, there was just so many other races and identities. It was so cool to like grow up and girl, our girl gang, it was like, yeah, two white girls, me, two black girls,
Mm-hmm.
a Pacific Island. It was just wild. And we had so much fun, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Oh, dude, we did. I have such good memories. Like you said, Foursquare. I remember we would do like little performances, and oh god, we were like the imagination queen. So like, I just feel like my creativity bloomed with that girl
Balloon.
gang. So,
And I
so
really
I'm
remember
just
even
so
like
grateful.
a couple sleepovers too. And those might have been like my first
Oh
first
yeah.
sleepovers. I think one was at her name was KD, and it was like around in this it's just so crazy. It's super crazy.
Yeah.
So I think I left Ahwatukee and we separated our ways as they do.
Yeah.
And then Hope, when did we like see each other again?
Oh my
Before,
gosh.
because it wasn't
I
even
think I like
before Instagram. Like maybe we had followed each other on
no.
social, but we saw each other in the flesh, and it was
Yeah, I don't even remember that. Oh my gosh, that was
okay. It was
so
in we
long
were in
ago.
Tucson, and maybe like
Oh my
20.
gosh, yeah.
Not
So that would have been
it was right before I left Arizona, so I'm thinking like 2014.
that sounds about right.
And it was literally in Tucson. We had ex mutual friends, won't be named. And I saw Hope in the flesh in Tucson. I was like there for like a night of charades and to see the college town of y'all, U of A Tucson. Wild. But
Yes.
yeah, I saw you at our mutual friend's apartment and I was like, we just like knew each other right away.
Yes. It was yeah, that's amazing. I like almost forgot about that story. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because
But
I think
probably just because I was trying to forget the ex-best friend. Mhm.
exactly. No, I remember because then after that, I was like, oh, I have to follow you. I'm like, wait, what? Da, 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 da. And two, if I remembered, I think I like left Kyrene de las Lomas, like, I don't know, whatever, fourth grade, third grade, but like we grew up together and like we have so many peers that like we both grew up together because y'all, Arizona's a small world,
Yes.
small world. And it was just so crazy to see like that you stayed and like what connections happened. But then the best connection, love, was just us coming back into each other's life because
Oh my
then,
gosh, yes.
y'all, it was 2020 last year. What a fucking year. What a ride.
Yes. The understatement of the year.
The understatement of the year. And I just want to say before we start the interview, Hope was just such a great girlfriend, ally, and just a great listener and a friend. I experienced a lot of friendship losses last year due to white supremacists and, the clown that was in office for 4 years. And Hope was about one of like four friends that I grew up with that just really showed up in my life and let me know that I was important and that everything that they wanted to learn and hear, they were willing to do that. And I just thank you so much. I really think, I don't know if you're spiritual or believe in God, but I really thank God for bringing you back in my life. And it was just so crazy. Like, how it all happened, but I really, really appreciate your friendship last year. Like, I'm deeply forever thankful. And just to talk, because, at first I had a lot of white friends coming in, like, what do I do? What do I do? You didn't ask that. You were just like, hey, how are you? If
Mhm.
there's something I can do for you, like, you were just so thoughtful and kind. And I'll forever love you for that.
Ugh, well, I'm so glad that I could have that impact on you, girl. And honestly, you just deserve a good friendship. Is always how I've seen it. Is you've always been somebody. I mean, when we were little, I was about you, and I'm so about you now. I love your energy and just how authentic you are. So, yeah. So when all that was happening last year, yeah, just who you are as a person, I was like, absolutely not. Like, this girl deserves nothing but love and light, and
Yeah.
to
And we
see
could
that you get anything
relate.
less.
Yeah,
Yes.
we could relate because we grew
Yes.
up in the same environment. We grew up in the same environment. Me and Hope kind of go on this rant of, like, the Arizona A-type girl. Like, we grew up in this just basic ass environment, and it was
Yes.
either you left or you kind of stayed. And not saying either one was settling, because we're all human girls. We all have our own unique different paths, but growing up there, we were able to relate, and you being there last year was just so much more helpful, because, like, you knew exactly where I was coming from. Exactly. And, like, I'd still have, maybe Black friends in New York that'd be like, well, those friends don't, but it was so hard. And having a friend like you just to understand, like, it's tough. Like, you grew up in this, you were in that. And it's just,
Yeah.
so it was so great. You understood. And it was a great way to just really begin our blossoming friendship again.
Yes, very grateful that we are where we are today. And unfortunately, 2020 was what it was. But if there was anything I got out of it, it was a much stronger friendship with you. So I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. And listeners, I really want to say, I know it's like you're in your mid 20s, I'm 26. And even if you're moving, I have like girlfriends moving, traveling, making friends is so hard. But I really want to say it's about quantity, no, it's about quality, not about quantity. I really love, I call everyone in my life maybe my best friend. That's because, like, I probably have like 10 of them or 15. It's really not about the clicks and the circles. And I feel like once you, like, grow out of the status quo, because I still know a lot of people follow it after college, post college, but once you leave that, you're able to, like, build your, like, little nest in your community. And it's so great. I have, like, all these best friends spread out all over America and everywhere. And it's really about quantity, not about, it's about quality, not about quantity.
I couldn't agree more.
So, Hope, how I start every interview is, what is your relationship with your body? And this is just a podcast on body image, cooking, and self love. So, today, where are you at?
So I definitely think my relationship with my body is always evolving. I would say today, though, it's definitely the most positive it's probably ever been. I think just with age, I've been able to kind of seek out my like own advice and my own outlooks on body rather than like what I grew up with. Because I think, I mean, especially growing up in Ahwatukee, there's a very certain like body type that you see kind of all over the place,
Mhm.
and the media definitely doesn't help to
Girl.
distract from that at all. So a lot of that was like having to self teach, just that, like, what you saw growing up is like not the one, the
End all be
one,
all. Mhm.
yeah, the one way of being and the one way of like being beautiful. And so I think just like now being able to like take in my own sources and have my own friendships, like you said, it all being about quality. And like I take in friendships with people that like are people I want to emulate and who do
Yeah.
take on positive outlooks on themselves and their body in turn, which is why I love you so much, because you inspire me so much to have a better outlook on my own body. And so while it is evolving, I think that right now it's the best it's ever been, because I've been able to do my own research and my own self, I guess, discovery and looking in within myself. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's so beautiful. And two, I love that you say it's evolving. As women, I just think there's never like an end all be all. I feel like the journey with yourself and your body, it's it's ever long. It's just ever evolving. It's continuum, and until, you unfortunately pass on. But
Yes.
that's so great too. And then I love that you took power just to, like, do your own research. Like, everyone, you guys, everyone is different. What works for Hope might not work for me. Like, everyone is different. I think taking the time to do your own research and, like, to make yourself feel comfortable. Wow, that's like really empowering.
Yeah, because I think sometimes growing up, you just listen to like what your girlfriends are going through, and I had a lot of girlfriends who, I always thought were like way more beautiful than me and had way better bodies than I did, and so I would hear what they would say and think like, oh my god, if that's not me, then like I'm not right, right? But today I read so much more books that teach you so much more about how being skinny isn't the one perfect way of being
No.
at all. And that there's just like there's so much more to our bodies, and our bodies do so much for us. And there are days that like we're not going to love what we see in the mirror, but there's so much to celebrate about our bodies every day, because our bodies do so much more for us than just look good. Like
Absolutely.
there's so much more to it than that.
And they
So
simply show up. I can absolutely relate to what you said. Like in our growing up in our environment, there was just one type of way to look. And yeah, really trying to understand that that's not who I am. I mean, obviously trying to fit in because doing it and going to limited two, making my mom take me to Hollister. I'm like, Mom, I will not be
yes.
in the group if I don't get the Hollister put like seriously. Like
Yes,
I remember
I
all
I
of that.
remember.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Totally. So like it was so interesting to see how that really like affected like just my identity kind of growing up. And now I just have a lot of like love and empathy for that girl because I mean, that's just how I grew up. And I really enjoyed, going to Hollister and Limited Too in those mall days. But also, if anything, it's just so sad that I didn't like exactly like you said. I thought all my other friends were pretty. I was like, they're way hotter than me. They all have
Yeah.
boyfriends. I've no what a boys never kissed me. And it's them. But it was so interesting to see how that just like evolved and how I was able to let that narrative go. Even I think when I got to high school, just like being more comfortable in my skin, doing
Mhm.
sports, it's just yeah, being like, well, actually, I don't want to be like a tall blonde girl with blue eyes. Like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, actually, this might be okay. So that's just super interesting. What is your relationship like with food, and what is your favorite thing to cook? I know we were talking before.
Mhm.
Hope's man hooks it up. She doesn't even cook. She got her man cooking for her.
Yes.
What's your relationship like with food, and what do you like to eat and cook?
Yes. So honestly, I've always had a pretty good relationship with food. I will say my one thing has always kind of been using food as a coping mechanism. I feel like I've always excused myself as, like you're having a bad day. Oh, well, like treat yourself, like
Mhm.
pull out the cupcake or whatever it is. So I would say that's always been like my one downfall with food. But other than that, like growing up, my parents would always be like, they knew I could eat. Like if somebody had food that they didn't want to eat, they were like, Hope, you want it? And I was proud. I was proudly like, I will eat that.
Love
Like
it.
I have just always loved food. And I think going into college, I started having not as great of a relationship with food, not really because of any body image issues, because I just wasn't educated at all on like how much food you should be eating.
They
Like,
don't teach us, like, anything.
no, like the amount of people I know who undereat is just, and like we all think it's normal. Like so many of my girlfriends, we were like, oh my God, I think we were only eating like 1,100 calories a day. And that felt normal because our bodies, like in college, were just adjusting to it. So
Yeah,
in my adulthood, I've had to do a lot of like, I don't feel strong because I have been feeling my body like all this time. And so
exactly.
relationship I've had with food, because I do look at it as like fuel, and I look at it as a way to just like feel strong. Yeah. So, and yeah, like you said, so my boyfriend Tyler, he plants microgreens, which if you don't know are just like little baby versions basically of just
We
different
love it. Y'all,
vegetables.
they look
Yes.
so amazing, so bright. Hope is, like, sending me little pics. I'm like, "Oh, go." Like, so cool.
Yes, they're so cute. But he'll just like throw them in like stir fries and that kind of thing. So he's been doing a lot of our cooking lately. We're big pasta people. We go down on some Italian. So like if we are really wanting to treat ourselves, that is like what we will do. But lately we've been doing a lot of like stir fries, a lot of like Asian dishes we've really been
Ooh,
liking lately.
I love. When you come to visit, you guys will definitely, like, be in the Queens, and there's just such great Thai and Asian cuisine. It's just It's the best. It's the best. I don't know about you, but I love a spice, but just all the
Yes.
flavors are just so I'm like, how do they do this? But I don't care. Give me 8 bowls.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. It sounds delicious. But
Delicious.
yeah, so we've been playing around with a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I love food. I've always loved food. And yeah, I think it's such an important way of viewing food is as fuel. And I think a lot of us aren't taught to view food as fuel at all. So I'm happy
Yeah.
that I'm starting to learn that.
Absolutely. And that was kind of my whole mentality, but still like in a toxic way of over exercising, maybe like a year before the pandemic and getting to the point like, well, trying not to, but I'll be like, oh, I'm have a headache. I need to eat. Like using that was like almost too dangerous. But when you use food for fuel, you really can like plan. It's like they call it something, you're just like following like what you need to eat. Like I call it intuitive eating, listening to what your body
Yes.
craves, like just literally listening. I was at the grocery store earlier and I was like, I need salmon, like something. I need like the omegas, I need the vitamins. Like I think listening to your body and yeah, for fuel, because we're young women, we're go-getters, we're out there. It's so hard. I don't know. I've been able to see like when I crash, like around like that 3 to 4. And if I don't like have a peanut butter sandwich or something,
Yes.
it's kind of bad. And like you said, I can relate. I don't want to go to like the bag of Skittles just because like I'm feeling anxious and da da da. I want to, take time, maybe like make a soup or like a little quesadilla and then like keep the levels good and fuel myself so then I can make it to dinner
Yeah.
and like still feel good, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a little bit harder. I think growing up, you're not taught to like eat intentionally and like eat with intention. And so it's definitely something that I've just been trying to work on because I've always been kind of like a mindless eater when like it
Mhm.
comes to like just coping and like having feelings. So I'm trying not to do that as much.
Absolutely. That's so great. At what age did you learn to love your body? And it's totally okay if that's like still in a learning stage in a process or you're not there yet. But was there a certain like
Yeah.
pivotal moment when you just were in full like deep acceptance and like filled with joy about your body and it's.
Yeah. I think the first time I really remember feeling that way, and I don't want this to seem as though anybody's worth of their body should be defined by somebody else. But honestly, getting in the relationship that I am with Tyler back when we were like, I think
Baby.
17. Yeah. Like he just, I mean, yeah, he's just really always been such a good partner and just like really, I think in high school, I just was like very insecure. I was always in a state of comparison. A lot of people that I went to high school with would talk about like how I had a huge butt and like things like that, which like I know people were saying in a complimentary way, but was always super just like I felt like all the time I'd just be walking and that's all that people were thinking about,
Yeah.
it just felt very no
Mhm.
matter if people thought I know there were a lot of girls who would tell me like, "Oh, I don't know why that bothers you so much." Like, and I would be lying if I said there weren't some guys that obviously when you like a guy, you want them to like notice something.
Of
But I always
course.
with my girlfriends was like, "Yeah, but I just like there's so much more to
Yeah.
me." And so getting in my relationship with Tyler when we were like 17 was just like the first time I think somebody really helped me see that like I'm not just like my body's not just like a sexual thing for like
Object.
looking
Mm.
at or
Mm.
this coming from somebody who was my only like sexual partner, so he was
Yeah.
if anything he was the one person who probably could have made me feel otherwise, but he was really the only person who was like like you have so much more worth and like
Yeah,
and
you're
I
just not
think
your body. There's just so much
yeah.
more.
And my mom had always told me like that your body is your body, like your body, you get to do what you want with your body. Like nobody gets to make choices for you, but like you expect to hear that from your mom, right? So like I
Of
think
course.
until sometimes you have somebody else kind of like re-implement that for you,
Mhm.
you're like, oh, okay, like then like it's true. So that was just the first time I was like, yeah, you know what? Like I am that bitch, like my body my body is great just the way it is. So yeah, and I just
Exactly.
that's always been just, like I work out a lot now, like more than I ever have, but it's never been for Tyler.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's
That is
just
so
great.
beautiful. That is so beautiful. And two, yeah, God, growing up, if you were 90s babies or any baby, like, yeah, growing up in such a high sexualized environment. I remember like, yeah, people started fucking at like 14, 15 and it just being so like, And then like to have like, yeah, guys in the school talk about your body and to be known. It's so, and I agree with you. Like I was never like the one in high school, but having men talk about my body that I wasn't even comfortable in yet, it
Right.
was just so hard. And it made it more uncomfortable because now these guys are saying something about that I don't even, it was so tough,
Oh my
and
gosh. Yes.
almost
And I was
comfortable.
very, yes. And I was very like prude, very like, I was not doing anything with anybody. So it was just even that, it just made like discovering sexuality so much harder because you just feel like
Mhm.
everybody's making decisions and saying
Yeah,
things
and
about it.
projections, like,
Yes.
you're like,
Yes.
"Wait, what? I don't even know." I'm like, "I haven't even, like, masturbated yet. How are you like, what?" Yeah, it's like,
Yes.
don't put that on me." And that's so beautiful too. I feel like when you find a partner who just, like, accepts you, it is just so much easier. Like, I mean, being in the pandemic and God, being going from like every size of the spectrum, I felt like I still now I'm like, wow, I have a partner who like loves me no matter what, even if I like eat 10 donuts and maybe next week
Right.
I'm 40 pounds, like he'll like love me no matter what. And that also makes me just feel comfortable. Yeah, when I work out now, it's not, oh, it's before it used to be, oh, like to be better at sex and like,
Hmm.
but no, I only work out for myself. Like that's just my validation for
Yes.
myself. And that's also like very empowering too. And then you don't have like a toxic, weird way. Like you're doing it for enjoyment for yourself to like bring
Yes.
you the endorphins, the good energy,
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely something such more powerful about working out like for you and to like be strong and to feel well than like doing it for anybody else. So
Absolutely. And you mentioned your mom, which shout out mom. I've always remember your mom just being this like this little ball of just like joy and so warm. I only like see her like as a ghost because again, like we were like
yes,
7 or
so
something,
young.
so young. But what did your mom teach you about your body? Like what really was something that you learned from her growing up?
Yeah. So, like I said, she always was very like, your body, your choices, she never, I don't remember her ever making me feel like, if I was to go have sex or I was to explore my body, that I was going to be shamed or anything like that. So I feel like everything that she taught me was always very like, very positive, very empowering. And I just never, there were so many situations I was put in high school where I could have definitely just done things that I didn't want to do. And because that, how it is in high
Of
school,
course, of
you
course.
want to
Yeah,
be like everybody
you want to
else.
do it.
You hear
Yeah.
everybody else is
Mhm.
doing
Let me
it.
do
So you're like, let me do it too.
it.
But because of like those lessons she instilled that like, no, like it is your body and it is your choice what you get to do with it. I was able to say no. And yeah, I'm just happy because there were a lot of situations that I could
Oh
have
my,
put myself in.
yeah,
And
and
I'm
hope.
just glad that she reminded me I didn't need to do that.
Absolutely, and, like, hope. Some women don't learn that lesson, like, for
Yes. I
oh
had so many friends in high school who I was like, oh my God, like their moms did not say these things to them. And that just made me so sad.
yeah, because too, y'all remember high school, it's not to each his own, but everyone's own path and journey, so, absolutely, I relate to what you said, yeah, just doing it to do it, and then but at least you had autonomy, at least you knew,
Oh,
"Oh my
yeah.
god," like, and that's so beautiful that your mother taught you that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. And I
Really
knew those
incredible.
boys were going to go and say, oh, Hope's so prude. Hope won't do this and that. But I was like, at the end of the day, I don't care.
I
Like,
don't
because this is what I want. And I am going to go home and sleep like a baby tonight
like a
about it.
baby.
So,
Yeah. And two, I mean, I didn't learn about like self-abandonment till years later, but yeah, you still had yourself. You had yourself and you had your pride. And being growing up in America as a young girl, pride is a good thing. You had your pride. You were
mhm.
able to go home, look at your mom at night, like go have a normal routine and just go to bed knowing that you stood up for yourself and your body, your choice. Your body, your choice. It's that simple.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yes. So thank goodness for her.
Thank goodness. Yes, thank goodness for a mom. I mean, I feel like too, my mom's a little older, just generational thing. Like they're not taught a lot to, and I don't know any black women if you can relate. It's like sex and body stuff is like so taboo. You just don't talk about it. But and to me, that's like so like ass backwards. So like I know definitely one day when
Yeah.
I have children, I'll be very proactive and saying like, this is what happens. And even now, like I asked my mom, like, Mom, why didn't you tell me about this? She's like, well, you were like 14. I'm not going to tell you about blowjobs. And I'm like, Mom, not that, but like certain things I wish I would have known. And
Yeah.
like you said too, I learned a lot from my girlfriends, just seeing things play out with them and being in the high
Mhm.
school world and like the social status and ladder. I saw a lot of things play it out, and that's how I was able to learn from my peers. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, check, got it, check.
Yeah. And my mom had me when she was really young. She was only 16. So I think that played into a lot of why she was so like
Oh,
proactive about being like making sure I
beautiful.
knew like what I can and what I can do with my body.
Exactly.
Not even what I can't do, just what I can do. Because she just wanted to make sure I always knew like the choices are always mine. So
That is beautiful. That's incredible. Here on Black Girl Can't Cook, we're big breakfast fans. Love a breakfast. What's your
yes.
morning breakfast routine? Is there like something to go to? You are like a busy
Yeah.
girl in the world. Like, what's your
Oh
morning?
my gosh. Yes.
Hope you
Yeah,
kill
dude.
it. But which I gotta
Thank
know
you.
your breakfast routine because like you go and then it's like it comes the weekend and I'm like, oh, so glad Hope has the weekend off. Let me send her a text. She can rest.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I honestly used to be so bad about breakfast just because I was so busy. I was like, I didn't know how to make time for it. But I've just been doing a lot better about waking up earlier in the mornings and making sure that I have the time because it significantly changes my day. Like my days are so much better when I make the time to eat, especially before work. Like nobody should be working on an empty stomach. I can speaking from experience, it is not a good idea. So usually my like morning breakfast during the weekdays is like I'll usually try to do eggs if I can. I just love scrambled eggs. So I'll try to do 2 scrambled eggs if I can. And then I'll do something kind of quicker. I usually have like cereal or I have like toaster waffles, but not like Eggos. They're like a better, like more adult kind of
Ooh,
brand. Have a
yes.
little, yeah. I think it's like Vons or Vans, something like that. Not a promotion, but
Not at all.
they're just they're just a lot better for you. I try to do some fuel in the morning,
Love it.
and then always some fruit. You got to get some strawberries or blueberries.
Fruit.
So yeah, so that's what I will try to do on the weekdays. On the weekends, Tyler and I will try to do like breakfast burritos or pancakes, like bigger ordeals. So but I love breakfast. I literally always try to get Tyler to do breakfast for dinner, but he's just not about it.
Oh my god, so. I'm screaming. We are twin sisters, food twin sisters. Same, like, and no lie, I didn't know if it was not that we were ever poor, but at one time my family did struggle after the recession. We would do that like maybe like once every like 4 months. And
oh my gosh,
that shit. Breakfast for dinner. My mom would like go get chicken from Fry's. She makes some Belgian waffles. Same. My Dustin, he won't. He's like, no.
Yeah, that was definitely something my mom did too. Like we would do pancakes for dinner sometimes. But she was about it, and she like loved going to IHOP. So I think it's just something I grew up with.
Oh, I love that. That's incredible. And I love what you said too. Breakfast is really important. My like ideology was totally fucked up because I was like ADHD and I was on Adderall for such a long time, and breakfast just like no. And then coming to New York, working out in the mornings has felt that was able to get me hungry. Otherwise, like I just would not, I wouldn't be activated till like 12, and then I would just feel like shit. So I kind of learned for myself working out early, getting up, like you said, kind of having the time, and then just like activating your gut, from stuff I've heard, like you sleep and your body is totally, you really want to wake up first thing, get that glass of water, activate your system. And yeah, breakfast of any form is just so important because like you said, fuel.
Yeah,
like women need
for
fuel.
sure.
We absolutely need fuel, and intermittent fasting, all that yada yada shit. I am not a doctor. We'll have one on, maybe never. Just you should eat. That's all I'm gonna say. You should try to eat every single day, 3 times a day. That's it. I mean, this world of wellness and it's just so there's everything, and there's just a new fad every week.
Yeah.
And I just
and that's something that's something too that I'm so glad my mom taught me is that, she never was out here doing like the Weight Watchers or any of that. And I I am so grateful that I didn't have that as like a constant in my life, because I do know a lot of girlfriends who had moms who were constantly like on the newest dieting trend.
Oh yeah,
And
girl,
so
we live in Arizona.
would,
Yeah.
yes. And that would be how I would know about what the newest dieting trend is because so-and-so's mom would be
Mhm.
telling her and she'd be telling me, and I'd be like, what is this? And so I'm just, and I think that's really difficult for girls who grew up like that to kind of pull out of that and realize, like, just because your mom or your grandma or whoever you grew up with had those habits does not mean that that is a habit that you should have. And I think it's hard, obviously, because we model the people that we love and that we grew up with. So
And
I'm
to
just very glad
society,
that my
there's so
mom
much.
never did that.
Absolutely. And there's so much brainwash. We're programmed so much. We're just
Yes.
programmed. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like nothing, like my mom maybe did. No, she just didn't do anything. Yeah, there was no, I just heard about like the slim, quick thing, like things I heard about was because of my
Right.
peers. And I'm like, or the Atkins diet. I'm like, what? I'm like, bitch, eat a burger. I didn't. So it's so interesting. And two, like everyone out there, men or women, like you were so able to like unlearn that stuff. You are. And
Yes.
it's not saying that your parent or your guardian, whoever you learned that from, was in the wrong. Maybe it worked for them, but I'm very much like back into caveman times. Like you just should
Yeah.
eat. You should just eat. And any type of diet or fad should just be absolutely your choice. Hi, vegetarian, vegan friends or pescatarian. We love you, support. But
Yes.
you should just eat regardless. Just please eat. And I'm just speaking that because
Yes.
I know what it's like to not eat. And I love what you said. It's all about fuel. You want to fuel your body and you want your body to be able to perform, to do what you do. Like
Yes.
even in a day of a pandemic, well, at least I'm going to the track, I'm riding a bike, going to the grocery store, doing my business. I want my body to be able to function for me. And thank God that it does smoothly every day for the last fucking year. So
Yes.
there's like a lot of thankfulness and gratitude, I think, to be in there, you know?
Yes, I totally agree.
What does self-love mean to you, Hope?
Oh my goodness. What a good question. I think self-love is, for me, is a lot of just like being willing to accept and love myself every day, and knowing that, the best version of myself every day is going to look different. Who I am one day is probably not going to look the same the next, because I'm just not going to feel 100% every single day. And as long as I can bring my best into every single day, I think just knowing that I'm doing that is a lot of where I've had to, where I'm at on my self-love journey, is just knowing perfection is not attainable. It's not worth striving for. So all I have to do is bring my best self to each day, and that is worth loving, and so much more. So yeah, that's kind of what self-love is looking like to me these days.
That is so fucking powerful because what you said, yeah, every day you're not going to show up. It's a new day, new experiences. Like, thank God, a new day at life. And I think giving yourself that like honor and grace. All right, well, today wasn't as good as yesterday, or vice versa. Like, how can you still show up and just be there for yourself in that journey? I don't even say a struggle, but in that day, because like it shouldn't be a struggle. You're just living and you're learning. And that's so important. So, so, so important. I love that.
Yeah, I think I definitely grew up very much a perfectionist. Like in high school, I had to have all A's. I was very overly involved. Same thing in college, and so I think just in adulthood, like, I think you learn that, like, the high school and college experience sometimes is made to like really like boost your ego up, and you're like,
Mhm.
everything's just kind of like, laid out for you. And then you get into adulthood and your ego is like super challenged, because you're like, oh shit, like this is the real world. I gotta
It's
figure out.
rocks. Mhm.
Yeah, like there's no path. Nobody's like, nobody's like, here's the classes you're gonna take every semester.
Mhm.
Like, no, like
Here are the
you are creating the path
stars.
now.
Mhm.
Yes. So I think a lot of like, once I realized that, like, just got into like my, mid 20s, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I might not feel as like perfect as I performed in like high school and college, but like that doesn't, and I think sometimes I was striving so much to be that in adulthood. And I'm right now, I'm just like, you know what? No, like I am the best hope that I can be every single day. And I'm doing all I can every single day. And even if like one day that's like I get out of bed and I make food and that was the best I could do that day, and then the next day like I get everything done on my to-do list, like both of those are just as good because it was the best I could do on any given day. So that's definitely where I'm at, just like showing myself love and grace.
Oh my God, that is so, so beautiful, Hope. And I can relate because I have a lot of love female friendships, love girls, grew up playing volleyball, just love the camaraderie. But yeah, all of my girlfriends, I want to say perfectionists and just had thrived off of the, the high attendance, the high class greetings, the performance, the ribbons, the accolades. And being a woman, like it does, especially y'all being a woman in a man's world, that does something to you. Then when you get in the real world and you're kind of like rocked and shaken up a bit, and you have to just rewire it. And I've seen in all my girlfriends who quote unquote were perfectionists, they struggled, but having to break through that was so much more freeing because they were able to like be in their 25-year-old self, not, in the 18-year-old or college. No, 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 no. You want to grow and evolve with your being. And
Yes.
so that's so great that you were able to grow out of that and just leave that behind because it can be, it's so hard to like, because that's just how you've been doing everything and how you were brought up and
Yeah.
just you've been succeeding, right? So your brain's like, no,
Right.
we're not gonna leave. Like, no, 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 no. But you totally like the real world, ugh, a trip. And I
Yeah.
really love that you said like thanking your body, like they did the best it did today. That's at the end of
Yes.
every podcast. I say thank you to your body. Y'all, that shit is energy. It just
Yeah.
is. And I think it gets easier to love yourself when you thank yourself for just doing what it did and showing up today.
Yeah. I definitely think that's why there's so much power in like gratitude lists and things like that, because the more, you just show that you're thankful for the things that are going right, even when they don't seem like big things. Like the more that we just acknowledge that the small wins are the big things, because all at the end of the day the small wins are the big things in life. And so I just think when we have more gratitude for these types of things, the more we realize like our lives are just as worthy as they were in high school when somebody was telling us that, oh well, you got an A and so like you're doing great, like you don't need somebody to tell you like that you got an A to know that you're great. So so I'm just glad that my 26-year-old self is like coming to terms with that. So
Yeah. And it's kind of good too, at least for me, when you can start to like validate yourself. Cause like I was
yes.
never the perfectionist type, but I definitely wanted others to validate me and to get on that pedestal and blah, blah, blah. But when you can kind of cut it out and just validate yourself, ooh, it's way better. It's just way more
Yeah.
gratifying, I feel like. And yeah. And yes, girlfriend, gratitude list. I do a gratitude list in my head. I think I want to start writing it out, but I do a gratitude list in my mind like 8 times a day. And I'm able to just go back and just be like, well, things are okay. Well, things are not okay in the moment, but this is what I do have. This is what am thankful for. And like being the gratitude, it changes like the energy. It's really
Yeah.
powerful. It's very
Yeah.
powerful.
And I don't think it has to be like, toxic positivity. Like, I don't think by any means it has to be like, I'm trying to pretend that this ugly thing that is bothering me doesn't exist. Like, I don't by any means think it ever has to be that. I just think it can be duality, like that we have crappy things that happen in our lives, but like at the same time, we have so much to be happy about and so much to be grateful for. And especially just, I think like working with the clients that I've worked throughout the years, like homeless people, teenagers who are in really traumatic environments, like I have had that reality like shoved into me so much deeper that like there's so much to be grateful for, that like it is okay to spend time with your ugly and like to acknowledge that not everything is going great, but like it's just as powerful to then take a moment and be like, here's what's going wonderfully, and here's
Yeah.
what I do have to smile about today. So
That
yeah.
is incredible. And then we'll just end there. I love what you duality. Duality.
Duality. Yes.
Y'all, that. And I had a friend, she was like, I love the yin yang. I was like, yang, that's so like fifth grade and all weird. But duality, light and dark have to be together. They
Yes.
just do. That's how it is. And in
Yeah.
my experience of last year, they kind of, I don't know, do they either comfort each other or it's such like a to combinedness within yourself that you really have to, be there with your shadow, crying, snot,
Yes.
sad about whatever, but then also just be like, well, I have a fridge full of food, my family's safe. Oh, and I can maybe pay my phone bill. Like, just while still honoring that dark and twisty mess, whatever you're experiencing. And duality. Yeah. Hope you're so
Yes.
smart. I love you. You're so
Oh
great.
my goodness. It's because I have smart friends like you, Brie. So
Where can everyone follow you, find you? If you have any projects, please tell us about your card business that you do.
oh yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at @HopraPimpery.
Oh,
Yes,
when I meet Oprah, you're my one tag friend. You're coming because it's a tag.
yes, that was a nickname that my friend Dion Howell, if you happen to be watching this, Dion, shout
out
out.
Dion.
He gave me that nickname in high school, so it's just always sat with me since. But yeah, so I write cards for a little business called Punk Post. It's a little great app that you can download if you're a iPhone user, or you can get on your computer and use it that way too. But it's a great way to like send out cards. You just write out like the little message that you want to send, and then an art like me will basically write it out for you, make it all cute and fun. So definitely recommend checking that out. And I always do little cards on the side just on my own time. So people are always welcome to just message me if you are into that. And I just love to follow new friends in general. So feel free to follow on Instagram and say what's up.
You guys, Hope gave me a beautiful handwritten birthday card. So beautiful. Oh my goodness. This girl. And mind you, this best friend, she's also like an art curator. She got me this beautiful, beautiful painting when I really needed it because it's only 2 months into 2021, but what? But
Yes.
yeah, please follow Hope. She's such a beautiful soul. And yeah, her card is beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's thoughtful, and you're so creative. Like, you're an artist, and
Oh, thank you.
you're like, it's a side hustle. I'm like, no, she's gonna get some coins. This is good. And I love that
Thank
you're
you.
dabbing in your creative side. It's so, so important.
Oh yes, I'm very glad to have an outlet to do that. And yeah, it mixes up my desire to be more creative in my adulthood, and then also just how soft I am and wanting to connect with people. So I'm all about my cards.
I love that. Thank you guys so much. See you next week. Bye, Hope.